Okay, so we are going to cover Magneto's third series. Now, reason why I say his third series is because in earlier years of Marvel Comics, he had two separate solo titles. And so this is his third, and it took place in the 2010s. Now, with that being said, with this first storyline in his third series, oh my gosh, it tells you that Magneto is going to be on a rampage because this picks up after Avengers versus X-Men. Now, with that being said, it is him kind of like a broken man because after the death of Charles Xavier, it did break a lot of mutants in different ways. But for Magneto, you have to realize he looked at Charles Xavier as an enemy, but at the same time as a dear friend. And so with that dear friend being gone, Magneto is just angry and he wants to get rid of anything that could possibly hurt mutants down the road. Now, the way we are going to start this video off is actually us picking up with some SHIELD agents. Now, these SHIELD agents are talking to a guy who is freaking out because he just watched Magneto kill a man. Now, when I say kill a man, I don't mean just like snapped his neck or some kind of stab wound and called it a day. No, Magneto literally murdered this man named Dr. Hatcher because Dr. Hatcher was working on a project to kind of get rid of mutants. And so with that, Magneto took all the signs nearby and put those signs right through the mouth of this man, right in the middle of the street for everyone to see. And you had this guy freaking out like Dr. Hatcher got murdered. Magneto is not playing around at all. But then we actually pick up with Magneto. Now, picking up with Magneto, I do want to mention one thing once again, how broken he is. Now, when I say how broken he is, I don't mean like he's sad, depressed, and angry at the world. Well, really, he is angry at the world. Really, he's angry at the human race. But either way, this is a man who's kind of like broken. And what I mean by broken is he watched his dear friend Charles Xavier die. And then the first student of Charles Xavier, Cyclops, had basically turned into him. Like Cyclops has turned into a Magneto Jr. And so with that, you have Magneto kind of like joining Cyclops' side because he believes in what Cyclops is doing. But at the same time, it's Magneto wanting to kind of push the envelope. He wants to go around and make sure that any human out there that wants to hurt mutants in any kind of way will pay. Now, you do have Magneto say that he was known by different names over the years, but all those names right now mean nothing. Because right now, like I said earlier, he is on a mission. And this mission is kind of showing Charles Xavier, or a way to show Charles Xavier that he was wrong. That with the death of Charles Xavier, nothing changed. Humans are not trying to work with mutants at all. And mutants are still on the run. Now, you do have Magneto say that he is on the run from SHIELD because SHIELD knows that he's out there killing these different people, but Magneto knows that SHIELD is not going to send in their best agents. For right now, they're only sending in their small time agents who are trying to make a name for themselves. But he knows that if he goes after a bigger target, someone out there who's big time, oh, that is when SHIELD is going to send in their best soldiers to finally bring him in. And so it's Magneto saying the reason why he's a few steps ahead of them is because these are small time agents. They don't think like he does. But then we see his next target. Apparently somebody who had killed 3 mutants had turned himself in. And for Magneto, that guy has to die because he killed 3 mutants. Now, we actually do see Magneto go over to California. Now, when he goes over to California, we know who he's going after. That killer. The one that had killed 3 mutants, but apparently had turned himself in. Now, when Magneto arrives at the police station, oh my gosh. This is so messed up. And the reason why I say it's so messed up is because These police officers who brought this mutant killer in, they're just having a normal day now. They're just walking around, doing their business, kind of minding their own business, trying to have a normal day and hoping they can go home and see their kids, their wives, their husbands, whoever. And then you have Magneto just busting in like, what's up? Because he's angry. He's like, hey, I know you guys are holding the killer, the one who killed 3 mutants. So that guy, he has to die. I'm going to find him. Where is he? In a cell? Cool, bet. Well, I'm on my way to go kill that guy, and then I'm going to leave. But the thing is, this is actually going to lead into the overall plot line for this story, the overall main storyline. Now, once Magneto goes to the prison cell to find the guy who killed those 3 mutants, this is Magneto thinking that he actually knows the kid. What I mean by knowing the kid is that he thinks he knows that the kid at first was somebody who hated mutants. And so he went out there, killed some mutants, but then felt bad for what he did. And so that is why he turned himself in. But in reality, that is completely wrong, because that is the moment you have the kid tell Magneto, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to kill those mutants at all. And it's kind of like, wait, what do you mean you didn't want to do it? And that is the moment we kind of find out this kid is actually an Omega Sentinel. Now, an Omega Sentinel is a different version from your regular Sentinel. It's when humans are actually infused with Sentinel parts to make them half machine, half men, or sometimes mostly machines and a little bit of men left in them. And so with that, this kid was turned into an Omega Sentinel. Someone took him and basically gave him Sentinel body parts, and so he's half machine, half man. Now, with that being said, you have Magneto able to kill the kid off easily, to let the kid finally just move on with his life. He's going to die, but at least he's no longer being controlled as an Omega level Sentinel. Now, you do have Magneto ask him, who did this to you? And the only thing the kid can tell Magneto is that somebody found him in a place called Down Acres. Magneto needs to go there because apparently that kid was living in that area. He was grabbed and forced to turn himself into an Omega Sentinel. And so this is Magneto kind of like, great, you now have humans out there who are being forced to turn themselves into Omega Sentinels to hunt us down. Magneto, he usually doesn't like humans, but seeing this, it makes Magneto even more upset because now innocent humans are being used to hunt down mutants in the wrong way. Now, when we dive into the second issue of this run, we actually pick up with some lady telling us what she saw, what Magneto did to that Omega Sentinel, what Magneto did to all of those different police officers. Now, some did die, but most of them lived. Now, with that being said, of course, she is telling this to some SHIELD agents who are right now trying to hunt down Magneto. But again, once they arrive, he's already gone. He is gone in the wind. Now, with that being said though, you do have one SHIELD agent mention something very important. And she says, I thought Magneto powers were broken. Because before this storyline, you had a big storyline called the Mutant Rebellion. And in that storyline, we come to find out Cyclops, Emma Frost, and Magneto's powers were not working properly anymore. And the reason why? Because Avengers versus X-Men. Because in that storyline, Emma Frost and Cyclops were possessed by the Phoenix. And with them being possessed by the Phoenix, well, of course, their powers began not working properly after giving up that power. Now, for Magneto's case though, because he was attacked by Cyclops while Cyclops was possessed by the Phoenix, apparently it messed up Magneto's powers. And so right now, He is not in full strength. But you have these SHIELD agents freaking out like, what's going to happen when Magneto gets back to full strength? And when he's back at full strength, what is he going to do to the rest of the world out there who hates mutants so much? But we actually pick up with Magneto at Down Acres. Now remember, that Omega Sentinel who told Magneto he didn't want to do this, he was forced to turn himself into an Omega Sentinel. He came from an area called Down Acres. And so you have Magneto go there, and when Magneto arrives, he realized it is a homeless camp. A camp full of homeless people. And this right here, it makes Magneto think a lot about his past life, especially the time when he was living in the middle of World War II. Of course, one of the worst times for Magneto. And the reason why, because that was a time period he lived through the Holocaust. Now, with that being said, as soon as he sees this homeless people, we have a small flashback to his past life. Now, I really do like this moment a lot because when it comes to Magneto, it's kind of well known about his origin, where he came from, how he lived through the Holocaust. Now, with that being said though, back in the early days, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s, those books right there, they didn't really show you how Magneto really lived through the Holocaust. We never truly got a full on hey, this story is telling you all the bad things he had to go through at that time period. It wasn't until a certain story came out in the early 2000s. And that story is better known as Magneto's Testament. And let me tell you guys, if we covered that book, oh my gosh, because it is a beautiful book. But that was kind of like the first big book to show the origin of Magneto in the Holocaust. Now, after that book came out, you did have more books kind of show different time points in the Holocaust that Magneto had to live through. Now, with that being said, in this flashback, it's really him and two kids trying to cross over the wall to get back to their side before they're caught by some soldiers. Because right now, their families are starving and are stealing food from one side to take back to their side. But before we are able to see what happens to the children, because one of them do get caught by some guards, but we jump back to the present day. And right in the middle of that flashback and us getting back into the present day, you do have Magneto be confronted by the homeless camp leader. Now, when this leader sees Magneto, he thinks that, oh, it's another homeless person. Okay, cool. Let me go over there and help this guy out. But in reality, this is Magneto looking for information. And so that is the moment you actually have Magneto ask the guy, hey, real quick, what in the world is going on here? And he said, listen, it used to be a group of people who would come here asking folks who is looking for a job. Because this is a camp full of homeless people. And so, of course, these people are looking for a job just to get some money to find a place to live in or just get some food to eat for the night. Now, with that being said, those people who took those jobs never came back. And then those same guys who came there offering the job began to just take people here and there. Bam, 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 they're gone. And those people never came back. And so it's this homeless man saying, listen, we don't know what happened to him. And we're just a homeless camp full of homeless people. We can't go investigate. Right now, the police, they're just basically letting us stay here just to be nice. But sooner or later, we break some kind of law, they're going to close this place down. And so right now, we're just staying here and minding our business even though people are disappearing. And honestly, this man, he has no choice but to do that to protect all of these people. Now, getting back over to that flashback as a way to kind of wrap it up, you do have Magneto and his two friends trying to cross the wall. Now, Magneto and one of his friends were able to cross the wall. Unfortunately, one friend got caught by some guards. Now, you do have the guards ask him, were you with anybody else? Of course, this kid is trying to protect Magneto and their other friend because he knows if he gives up their names, those guards are going to kill Magneto's family and also Magneto's other friend's family. Now, you do have a random guard walk up, clearly he's a higher rank, and he tells the kid, if you give me the names, I'll let your family live, I'll let you live, and you get all the food you want. Now, we know that is a lie, but this kid does not know that, and so he does give up one name. Now, luckily for Magneto, it wasn't him. It was the other kid that had crossed with Magneto. And so that kid is going to die. His family is going to die. And the kid that was caught by the guards who thought that he was now in the clear, that guard went ahead and shot that kid. And then the guard told the rest of the guards to kill that kid's family. Because again, it's the Holocaust. They were just ruthless and rude and so dark. Man, mess up. But then we jump back over to the present day, where we actually pick up with Magneto still at the homeless camp. Now, the reason why he is still there is because he is waiting for those guys that were basically kidnapping homeless people to make them Omega Sentinels. Now, when they come back, of course, the homeless camp is cleared out because Magneto had asked every single person to leave so that none of them would get hurt when he goes on their rampage. Not theirs, but his rampage. Now, with that being said, when those guys appear looking around for some homeless person to grab, you have Magneto just appear and take out guys left and right. Now, of course, he can't kill everyone at this moment. He has to keep one of them alive. And the reason why? Because he wants to know where in the world is their base. Who was this guy hired by? Who is going around kidnapping homeless people to make them Omega Sentinels? This is Magneto wanting some answers now. So when we jump into the third chapter of this book, we actually pick up with the homeless camp leader right now being interrogated by some SHIELD agents who are still looking for Magneto. Now, of course, when Magneto had used his powers at this camp, SHIELD got here only a couple hours too late because once again, Magneto is gone. And so that is why they're kind of interrogating this homeless camp leader, hoping that he can tell them where in the world Magneto is going to next. Now, this homeless guy, he has no idea. And matter of fact, he's freaking out. He's kind of like, dude, I have no idea where in the world he's going. He just left and that is it. But to these SHIELD agents, they feel like this homeless camp leader is lying. And if he is lying, they can arrest him for basically not helping out with their case, for hiding a killer like Magneto. But then we actually jump over to Magneto, because right now we actually do see him going over to the building where, of course, the Omega Sentinels are coming from. Now, you do have Magneto kind of sneaking around the place, trying to find the main lab, the leader of this whole operation. But while he is doing that, he begins to think back to Genosha. Now, Genosha is very important because in the mid to late 1990s, maybe early 2000s, the American government gave Magneto Genosha, this own island where mutants can go to basically form their own nation, and Magneto was in charge. The problem was, though, Sentinels went to that nation and wiped out 16 million mutants. And of course, Magneto had never gotten over that because he was the leader of that nation. The American government gave him that island to take all the mutants he wants to live over there, and they were quickly wiped out just like that. And so with Magneto sneaking around this building, he's thinking back to that moment, because here he is again. Now they're taking humans and making them Omega Sentinels, another way to hunt down mutants. But here comes the big plot twist when Magneto finds the main lab. Now, when Magneto finds the main lab of this building, well, that is the moment he finds the project leader, the leader of this operation, and her name is Elizabeth Allen. Now, with that being said, you do have Elizabeth Allen actually explain what is going on with this team. Because remember, to us right now, it does seem like this group of people are making Omega Sentinels as a way to hunt down mutants, and also the same to Magneto. And so that is why he is so angry. But you have Elizabeth Allen say, no, that is not true. We are not making Omega Sentinels as a way to hunt down mutants. We're doing this as a way to protect us. Now, that one line right there, it may be confusing, but what she is really saying is this right here. That right now they're trying to build their own human camp, because she knows that sooner or later mutants are going to wipe out humans. But of course, she is trying to prevent that without actually attacking mutants. So let's not attack, let's defend. Let's go ahead and start building camps across the world as a way to protect our kind from mutants. But here comes the big problem though, because you have Magneto bring up the kid from earlier who killed 3 mutants. And she says that one right there has some problems. After he was turned into an Omega Sentinel, she had a hard time actually controlling him. And so, of course, his old program came on. And the old program is basically go out there and kill mutants. And so that is why that kid from earlier who was arrested by the police was out there killing mutants. Because the old program of the Sentinels came on, he went out there, he hunted mutants down, and then, of course, Magneto killed him. And so this is Elizabeth saying it won't happen again though, because I'm working on making sure those old programs do not happen to the rest of my Omega Sentinels. But this building is a camp, a way to protect us. But of course, to Magneto, he's like, no, this is stupid. Because to Magneto, you can say one thing. You can say, oh, we're not going to attack you. We're just basically building up our defense, our camps across the world to protect the human race. But don't worry, we're not going to attack you. But sooner or later, they're going to attack you. And Magneto knows that. And so to him, he's like, I could leave right now and let you continue to build up your camp to protect humans. But of course, one of yours Omega Sentinels had an old program come on and kill 3 innocent mutants. And so you can't promise me that down the road it could possibly happen again. And what happens if sooner or later you feel like, besides defending yourselves, you should go out there and attack us, and you have this whole army of Omega Sentinels ready to go? So why should I let you live? Why should I let this operation continue on when there is a possibility more mutants could die down the road? And so you have Magneto just go ahead and destroy the entire building. He makes sure it comes completely down, because this is him saying, no, there is no way I am going to allow the possibility of more mutants dying by the hands of humans. And this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. Later, guys.